Welcome into the Stack Shack Sports Show. Today, we're going to be talking about college football, specifically focusing on some of the wild coaching changes that happened this offseason, as well as diving in why I think we're seeing this pattern of changes and what the NCAA needs to do to fix it. Because a lot of these coaching changes this year, to me, are very concerning for college football moving forward. It all really started with Nick Saban announcing his retirement, leaving Alabama. That was kind of one of the first, I would say, very big, major, somewhat unexpected losses in the coaching field for college football. But it continued. And we just had in the last, couple of months, a couple of really interesting ones. The first one that was very intriguing was Bill O'Brien going to Boston College. But what's so interesting is why. Jeff Hafley, Boston College's coach, been for 4 years, he left his head coaching position to go become the defensive coordinator of the Green Bay Packers. So he left college, headed to the NFL, and really kind of took a demotion. Pay is probably similar, just because, the NFL pays a bit more, and a good coordinator can still make good money. He'll be fine. But definitely a bit of a demotion from head coach to defensive coordinator. And it was on his own terms. He chose to do this. It wasn't like he got fired from the Eagles there in Boston College. No. He left Boston College of his own volition to go be a defensive coordinator. And then we just had another head coach to defensive coordinator in a great article out here by Tom at CBS Sports. This was a few days ago. He's pointing towards some of the things that I am going to be talking about in this video. Chip Kelly leaves a head coaching job to go be the offensive coordinator at Ohio State. Now, how are these connected? The Nick Saban one was just the first big retirement, but Bill O'Brien was going to be and supposed to be the quarterback's coach and offensive coordinator at Ohio State. So he leaves to fill in for Jeff Hafley, who goes on to the NFL to be a coordinator. And then Chip Kelly leaves UCLA, a decent program, not maybe the best program. They're more of a basketball school historically, but still a top-notch program. Power 5, we would say. It's not really the Power 5 anymore, but good conference, moving to a new conference. A lot of hope and optimism. He's beaten USC, their rival, a couple of times here recently. So, people somewhat liked him. There's been some concerns about recruiting and how well he played with boosters and NIL stuff. But he took another demotion, and this time not to go to the NFL. So I'm sure this was probably a pay cut. I doubt Ohio State is paying him as an offensive coordinator what UCLA was paying him as a head coach. So he probably took a pay cut and a demotion to go be a coordinator. Why is this happening? Why is this happening? Well, I would submit that it all comes down to how recruiting, the NIL, transfer portal, how that all functions right now. Chip Kelly, historically, has not been known as the most go-get-em recruiter. Okay, that was a criticism of him. But what has become of college football, and this is why I believe the NCAA needs to make some changes and make some updates to how things work. We'll go back here to Alabama coach. Nick Saban leaves. I think a big portion of why he left, and something he has even spoken about. He has said and expressed how now that he's not coaching, he wants to be a part of kind of fixing this college football thing, putting some rules in place. We're kind of living in the Wild West with college football, with early signing days, recruiting, transfer portal, NIL. There's not a lot of regulations. You look at something like the NFL. The NFL has a very strict, trade deadline, off-season signing period, right? They're very strict with when and how you can be traded or sign. when you can talk to coaches about new jobs. And I think the NCAA needs to start putting those frameworks in. So let's just jump straight into my ideas here. What do I think will fix college football? So the first thing is we got to get rid of the early signing period. So for those of you that might be a little unfamiliar with the college football recruiting, how does it work? Well, there are certain periods when coaches are allowed to interact with potential high school recruits and when they are not, okay? So you have dead period in August, September through November. That's the season. You're also allowed to go in contact, right? That's an evaluation period, okay? And again, an evaluation period is when it's permissible for authorized athletics department members to assess playing ability, right? You can go to games, you can go watch a game, you can go talk to a student, etc. Then there's some dead periods, and then there's contact periods. Now, these contact periods are your, shall we say, travel periods. These are the weeks where you are on the road. If you're a coach, you're out and about, you're on the road talking to recruits. Okay, so there's a short one in December, then a little bit longer one January, February. Okay, quiet periods, you are allowed to contact the students, but only on campus. You can't go off campus and fly to their house and go show up. Okay, so September 1st through November 26th, that's evaluation period. You're going, you're watching your student athletes in high school, you're figuring out who you're going to be really recruiting, you're starting to talk to them, and then there's these contact periods. What I'm talking about with early signing period is they added this a few years ago. It's been around for a little bit, where there is an early signing period. So you recruit these kids, they can give a verbal commitment, say, yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm going there, but you got to get them to sign on the dotted line. And there's only certain periods of time throughout the year when students can actually sign on the dotted line, and then they're basically locked into going to your school, okay? There are obviously some exceptions and ways for them to get out of that. You know, I'm not going to get into those details because I don't think those are really relevant. But they have a certain period. And that, in 2023, was December 20th through the 22nd. Now, if we look back at our calendar, now you see why this period is here. This contact period, 1st through the 16th of December, you got kids signing on the 22nd. So this is your last, 14-day push, couple of weeks. We got to make sure our guys are going to be signing with us. Okay? That's how college football works. What I say is college football needs to get rid of that early signing period. Okay? It's not good for our coaches. And that early signing period, on its own, you might say, well, I don't see, there's not much wrong with that. But what it does to this recruiting calendar and what it does to the coach's lifestyle and how they make up their teams, I think that is kind of the root problem, is this early signing period. Okay? Let me break it down for you. It used to be that college, you made a little less money than the NFL, but you had a little bit better lifestyle. Your work-life balance was a little more appropriate. You had a little bit more time off. If you take a look at this calendar, if you are a coach in college football, you get a dead period for August 1st through 31st, except, I hate to break it to you, that's right before the season. This is when you're coaching. Like, you're not you don't have time to recruit. You're trying to get ready for your season. That's the first couple weeks of the season. Okay, you get 3 days off for Thanksgiving, sure, but you're probably watching film and getting ready for postseason play. And then there's kind of a month off, right? But depending on transfers, it's still a quiet period. So you're still talking to students if they're coming on campus. There is no break here. There is no off season. And that early signing period, a lot of people will make the argument, all right, we need this early signing period. And one of the main focuses of instituting an early signing period was to add the opportunity for students to be early enrollees. So what is that? Well, you might not know this, but a lot of college athletes, while they're in high school, they'll end up enrolling the second half of their senior year of high school, right? They'll either graduate early from high school or they'll go finish up their second semester of senior year at the university they want to play at. It's a great idea because it gets students on campus, allows them to kind of feel it out. There's not a lot of pressure on them all of a sudden. They can finish out their senior year, start getting in the weight room, start meeting the coaches, get a feel for the new city that they're potentially in. It's really a great idea. Early enroll in college. You get an extra semester of college. You can get started on your degree, especially if you graduate at semester because you had enough credits in high school. Very possible. But even if not, you can still finish up and start getting some college credit, start getting a feel for things, get in the weight room, start practicing, participate in some levels of spring ball, right? Start learning the playbook, start learning the defense. It's a really great idea and something that a lot of athletes have taken advantage of. And so they instituted this early signing period so that you could sign before the next semester starts. Most semesters, start after the new year, sometime in January. They're going to start the second semester. So by having them sign in December 20th or 20 through 22nd, they're able to sign and then get enrolled. That's the whole idea behind the early signing period. I am a huge advocate. I like the idea of early signing so that you can be an early enrollee. But I think it messes up the calendar. So here's my solution. No more early signing period, but you let juniors sign. The normal signing period starts February 7th. Most people sign on the first day available, and it lasts until April 1st for D1 players, okay? So February to April, you have this normal signing period. That should be the only signing period, but I want to allow juniors to sign. Why do I want to do this? Okay, if you're a junior and you want to go, let's say you're getting recruited by Ohio State, you want to go to Ohio State, you want to be an early enrollee. I don't understand why, as a junior, you can't make that decision. A lot of these recruits are getting recruited when they're sophomores. If you know where you want to go, you know that you want to be an early enrollee, sign your junior year. Second semester, sign in April, sign in late March. Say, yeah, I'm going to Ohio State, I'm going to Alabama, I'm going to Notre Dame. And then you can be an early enrollee. You already have it all planned out. There's not this rush of, I sign in December and I got to get to a new campus and get all my classes by January. Now you have, okay, I know what my plan is. I got this summer, I've got the fall semester, I get to play my senior year at my school, and then I know winter break happens, boom, I'm heading off. I'm heading off to the new school. I'm going to be an early enrollee. I don't see the issues with that. And what it would do is it would clean up this perpetual motion machine, this treadmill that all these coaches have to be on, constantly recruiting. Hey, I already got him signed as a junior. Now you don't have to continue recruiting that player. The other thing that it's going to do is it's going to affect how the transfer portal works. Because the situation we have right now is college football postseason. A lot of people sit out. A lot of people announce that they're transferring before their bowl games. Right? Why is that? Well, there's a couple of things. One, you have a rule that if your coach leaves, you can transfer, right? When the coach leaves, then you can transfer. You get to transfer actually earlier than everybody else. But the other thing is, they want to make sure the transfer portal is open with enough time so that early signing day isn't affected, right? If you're recruiting a potential transfer and you're recruiting some kid out of high school, that kid out of high school might want to know, like, oh, I wanted to go there, but you just got a transfer wide receiver who plays my position exactly, and he's only a sophomore, so I'm never going to get playing time. I'm going to go sign for somebody else, right? That's the idea. You want to get a lot of these transfers worked out before kids are needing to sign and make decisions. And it's vice versa. If you're the college and you only have a certain number of scholarships available, you get a couple of transfers, you might not have scholarships available for that high school kid. And so before they get signed, all right, we're going to let this go. If you get rid of that early signing period, then you can move the transfer portal later, which I think would help everyone. So here's my second new rule. First rule, no more early signing day. Juniors are allowed to sign. That way you can lock in juniors earlier. If they want to be an early enrollee, gives them even more time. I like that idea. Juniors can sign. No early signing period, but juniors can sign. They get to technically sign even earlier than an early signing period, right? Second rule, coaches and players cannot change schools until after the postseason is over. I think it's a pretty simple rule. And the coaches better not push back at this, because I'm doing this for them, to give them a better lifestyle. Coaches should not be able to leave their team until their team is no longer playing football that season. That's the rule in the NFL. They can't even contact. Remember, we had this situation where we were pretty sure Ben Johnson, right? They can interview, they can talk, but we were pretty sure Ben Johnson was maybe going to the Commanders, and Mike McDonald was probably going to the Seahawks, but they couldn't sign because their teams were still making playoff runs. Why we don't have that in college football doesn't make sense to me. Oh, wait, it does. The reason we allow all these coaches to transfer early, to leave their programs before the bowl games, before the end of the season, it's all because of this early signing day. They need to get to their new university so they can start recruiting those kids. It's all about the early signing day. See how this is kind of the root of the problem here in college football? This early signing day is the whole reason we open the transfer portal early. We open coaches leaving early. So that's my second rule. We've gotten rid of the early signing day. You don't need to transfer in early December. You don't need to change schools as a head coach. You don't need to go get a new coaching job that early. Wait until the postseason is done, because there's no early signing period. You got till February, right? The season's well over before then. You'll have a month or two to recruit, okay? I think that would clean up so much of our problems with the transfer portal and these kids sitting out of bowl games. Now, this isn't going to solve any sort of problems with students sitting out of bowl games, getting ready for the NFL. That's a different issue. Probably a different video. Maybe if you enjoyed this one, leave a like. Comment down below if you want to hear my thoughts on how to fix the sitting out situation. I think I got a pretty good idea. But regardless, get rid of early signing period. Allow juniors to sign so that they can be early enrollees. Still give them that ability. And then make a rule that you cannot transfer and you cannot take a new coaching job until after the season. That's the rule in the NFL. The coaches can't take new jobs. Imagine Ben Johnson or Mike McDonald. Ben Johnson ended up staying, so he's probably not the best example. But imagine Mike McDonald, Ravens, they're going to play the Chiefs. He's like, I got this new coaching job. I want to go get started with those players, so see y'all. I'm leaving. Bye. No, that's not allowed. It's against the rules. Coaches and players, you got to finish the season. Okay? Then we can have transfer periods in the off season and all of that. But just like the NFL has trade deadlines and these rules on when you can contact head coaches and bring them over, and when you can announce head coaches and bring them over, we need those same rules in the college football game as well. I think it would solve a lot of problems. I think it would help alleviate some of these issues of why we have head coaches saying, you know, it's so much work. I'm just going to go be a coordinator. Because what's happening is a lot of these coaches, they're not even coaching football anymore. Chip Kelly's been expressing this. Jeff Hafley expressed this. They're not coaching anymore. They're just recruiting. That's it. They don't get to actually coach football. You know, the thing that they got into the industry for, they want to be a football coach. They're not even football coaches. They're just salesmen. They're just recruiters because that's all they do all year. If you cut out the early signing period, if you get rid of some of these issues, I think it cleans up a lot of the problems with coaches and frankly with players as well. Give them some more freedom. Give them some more power. Allow them to lock in as a junior. Let me know down below in the comments what you think. Do you think these crazy ideas would work? I think they would. I think the NCAA needs to take a look at it. Hopefully, I've heard Big Ten SEC forming a bit of a committee to look into some of these problems and how to regulate it. There's a lot of things to look at, a lot of new things in college football. It's a very exciting time to be a college football fan. Ratings are up. The product's better than ever. Cannot wait for next season. Expanded playoff. All these good things. But if all of our head coaches are just leaving and retiring because we're not giving them enough of a work-life balance, we're not giving them a good quality of life, we're overworking our staffs, it's going to decline eventually. We got to clean this up. Saban's gone, retired. It's too much work. Has said he wants to try and fix some of these problems. Chip Kelly leaves. Jeff Hafley leaves. Head coaching jobs to be coordinators so that they can actually coach now. I think that's a serious issue. It's a symptom of a problem. And I think the root of all of it is that early signing period. Got to get rid of it. And then I think the other logical changes can take place. And I think we'd be in a much better spot. Let me know in the comments what you think. And we'll see you tomorrow.